My name is Linda Lee Smith Barkman. I graduated with a master's in theology from Fuller in 2012 and a PhD in 2018. Now, if I was doing 15 to life, how come it took 30 years to get out? I hold the record for all men and women in the state of California. I was granted parole by the parole board, whose job it is to find suitability. I was granted 11 times, and the first 10 times, various sitting governors, for political reasons, overturned. When I arrived at CIW, I was a babe in the Lord, and Jesus is all I had to keep me sane and keep me focused and give me a reason to be alive. Before I knew it, I was part of the ministry team for the psychiatric unit in the prison. So for 28 of my 30 years of incarceration, I was lay pastor for those wonderful women in there. And I realized that me still being in prison after all those years could only be God's miracle because he was using me in there. Fuller Seminary has a certificate of Christian studies, 6 classes, master's level. And I took all of that, distance learning, snail mail. People at Fuller found out that, oh my gosh, this woman did this and she did it from prison. Next thing I know, Fuller had set aside residency requirements. They invited me into the Master's of Theology program, and then they scholarshiped me through it. When I paroled in the year 2010, I only had 5 classes left on my master's. My dissertation was on the communication gaps between the women prisoner at CIW and prison ministry volunteers. So what at first I thought was a problem with the church in prison, because short-termers especially would be on fire, saved, and just so excited about leaving prison because they would never have to come back because free in Christ is free indeed. And 6 months later, it was not just that they came back to prison, but they were so excited to come back to the prison church, because the prison church accepts everybody. Everyone knows that everyone is really a sinner. I've had pastors say, oh, on the outside, you got to convince people that the congregations are in sin. In prison, what you need to convince the congregations is that we are redeemable. Restorative justice is just that. It is saying that everyone is redeemable. If Jesus says that we are redeemable and should be brought back into community with him, because that's what salvation and redemption are all about, then we need to provide a way that even those who do terrible things can be brought back into community. 98% of people in prison come out eventually. And you don't want people coming out more hurt, more wounded, and further from God than they were when they went in. We want people coming out healed and having had a chance to give back. My sisters in particular, who I ministered to on the inside, might have gone to a church for 15 years out here, but when they have a loved one who's dying and they really want their pastor, they get to call me. And that is just an amazing thing. I do not pastor a normal church. I am simply a pastor at large. I appreciate what Fuller is doing, and I appreciate what you are doing by viewing this, by giving those of us who have lived experience with mass incarceration a chance to share our understanding of what prison ministry is, what we need from you, and something you might not have thought of, what we have to offer back to you, which is a lot.